I'd like to thank our honored guests, veterans, and everyone here for coming today. It was on this day, 100 years ago, that the guns on the Western Front fell silent, ending the devastating conflict that had become known as the war to end all wars. The guns fell silent, and the world stood irrevocably changed. Centuries-old empires had been toppled, altering the lines on the map that would have lasting consequences for the world through to this day. Millions of soldiers, thousands of civilians had been killed. At home, Confederation had been rocked to its core because of the conscription crisis of 1917. And what began as an army mostly made of recent immigrants and citizens had become the most feared fighting force on the Western Front by 1918. A force that had forged a national identity on the battlefields of France and Flanders through their sacrifices. It was only 4 years previous, young men across Canada, Britain, and the Empire had rushed to enlist in a war they thought would be over by Christmas. By the war's end, many of them will have been killed, maimed, or carried wounds, both physical and emotional, that would last for the rest of their lives. On November 11th, 1918, we were left with the silence, left to contemplate all we had done and what the future would bring. We erected more memorials made of brick, marble, and stone. We placed them at the centers of our communities as a testament to the nation's grief. We had won a peace, hard fought and terribly paid for. Sadly, in one of history's greatest ironies, it would be the sons and daughters of those who had fought and returned that would end up fighting in the Second World War. Upon signing the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, the general of all Allied forces in France, General Ferdinand Foch, was quoted as saying, "This is no peace, it is an armistice for 20 years. And 20 years, almost to the date, again, for a second time, eager young men and women rushed to enlist to do their duty for king and country. This conflict would prove to be more devastating than the last in terms of loss of life, both soldier and civilian. It gave birth to new horrors as the world began to discover the result of the Holocaust and man's true indifference to his fellow human being. And the globe was shadowed in the cloud of the atom bomb. And yet, more names were added to the old memorials, and new memorials were raised in honor of those who took up the Great Crusade to free the world of fascism and tyranny. Since 1914 and before, Canadians have been called on many times. We've fought in South Africa, Korea, and Afghanistan. We've performed numerous peacekeeping missions around the world, and at this moment, our troops are still on mission in Kuwait, Mali, the Ukraine, and in Latvia. These ideals, past and present, we adhere to the common ideals of peace, freedom, and justice. These ideals that are not and should not be applied simply nation by nation, but are the fundamental rights of all mankind. They're the ideals worth fighting for, and as Canadians that we've come to protect and uphold the rights of ourselves and of people in other nations. I think the Governor General, David Johnston, said it best when commemorating the National War Memorial in Ottawa in 2014. There are two statues that stand atop the National War Memorial. And to quote the Governor General, they represent both peace and freedom, and the two are forever linked, because freedom without peace is agony, and peace without freedom is slavery. And as Canadians, we will tolerate neither. I'm extremely grateful to all of you who have come to the ceremony today and honor and remember those who have sacrificed their lives, their youth, their physical and mental well-being in service to our nation and to the cause of peace. I would like to end my speech today with a quote that was written a little under 100 years ago by a soldier returning from the Western Front. So bear with me. I went back to the gangway for a last farewell. In one way, I knew it must be a last farewell. For though some of us will meet again as individuals, we will be under altered conditions. Never again but in dreams will one see the battalions marching on the battle-plowed roads of France and Flanders. Never again will one see them pouring single file into the muddy front trenches. All that is over. Along the coast of the Atlantic and Pacific, among our cities, by the shores of lakes and rivers, and in the vast expanse of prairies and mountain passes, the warrior hosts have melted away. That was written by Frederick George Scott, the late senior chaplain of the 1st Canadian Division. And it's true, there is no one left here as a living testament to the war, to the First World War. But coming here today is a way to remember them and all of those who've come after them. So you have my most sincere thanks and appreciation. Thank you.